These are exciting times to be at the helm of the country's largest stock exchange. The benchmark indices are testing new highs every day, and the Nifty 50 is inching towards the 10,000 mark. With me today is the new Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the National Stock Exchange. Thank you so much for speaking to BloombergQuit.
Thank you. Thank you.
I said these are exciting times, but they're also challenging times for you personally. You're stepping in when there are several issues that are being discussed, and foremost among them is the co-location issue. Where do we stand right now, and where do we go from here on that particular issue?
So this is an issue that has been talked about quite a bit over the past several months. I think there have been various reports, investigations, reviews, etc. done by various parties, internal and external. I think there are a couple of reports that are still awaited to complete what SEBI had requested. NSE has been in discussions with SEBI on how best to resolve the co-location issue. I'm hopeful that over the next few months we will be able to resolve this issue. NSE has also proposed to SEBI that it may be easier to adopt the consent process for early resolution. That is something that NSE will represent to SEBI. It is obviously SEBI's prerogative whether to accept a consent process or not. So that I cannot comment on. So but it will be NSE's endeavor to try and figure out the fastest way to resolve this issue.
So you said will represent. Does that mean that the consent application will be made at some point?
Yes.
There's been no communication as of now.
There have been verbal conversations, but it requires a formal application to do a consent process. So that application will be filed in due course.
The understanding here is that this application and the movement forward on this resolution will depend on the identification of the extent of gains that happened on account of this purported, access that was available. Has that been identified at this stage?
I can't get into the details of what has been identified and what has not been identified, etc. Suffice to say that there have been various reports that have already been prepared. There are one or two more that are due in the next 2 to 4 weeks, and there will be enough material evidence, etc. For SEBI as well when we discuss with them how best to resolve the co-location issue.
And immediately after that, I would think you would have to move on the listing front. You would have to file a new DRHP. But then no timelines at this stage.
Yeah, no, I don't want to talk about timelines because resolving the co-location issue is important and priority. And I don't want to second guess what it takes to resolve it, because it involves a SEBI process, it involves SEBI going through its own internal processes and whatever it takes for them to be comfortable that the resolution of this issue is appropriate. And therefore I don't want to talk about the timeline of the IPO, because that is really contingent upon when we are able to resolve the co-location issue. But to answer your question, yes, it would be an important priority to take the exchange public once the co-location issue is sorted out.
Ideally this financial year?
I hope so.
All right. Now, one item that grabbed a lot of headlines was last week. It was considered unprecedented, but it brought to light the possibility, and this was referred to by the chairman in a letter to the employees, that there are certain legacy technologies that NSE has to improve on. Is that really going to be a primary focus, and does there need to be a significant improvement of technology and processes?
See, as you know, the effectiveness in the exchange business is all about technology and risk management, right? That's what provides an effective platform and an efficient platform for investors to trade. NSE has invested a lot into technology, and it actually has cutting edge technology as it relates to latency and various other parameters for an exchange. We will continue to invest in technology. This was an event that over the last so many years has not happened. It's not unusual to find technical glitches in exchanges. There are various other exchanges that have also experienced it. We are in the process of getting to the bottom of it, in finding out what the root cause is. That should be available shortly.
There's a report that's being
There's
worked
a
on?
report that's being worked on that will be shared with the Standing Committee for Technology at the NSE, after which the details will be shared with SEBI and the Ministry. So what I would like to say is that technology is certainly a very important area for NSE. We have invested a lot in it in the past. We will continue to invest in it. And wherever we see gaps, we will certainly plug those immediately.
Understood. Now, my last question to you. You've highlighted a few very key issues, and you've spoken about two of them right now. But apart from that, what would you rate as the most important issue that you will have to grapple with when you take charge today?
I would say two things actually, rather than one. One is just improving stakeholder relationships across the board, whether it's the regulator, government, clients, media, employees, shareholders. I just think there is room for improvement in terms of stakeholder relationships. And the second part I would say is strengthening controls and processes. So those are two areas that I would certainly want to focus.
But that would essentially mean that you don't think they're up to mark as of now.
No, it's not about not being. See, you have to constantly push the envelope and make sure that you have best-in-class standards across the board, right? So it's important to take a review of what exists. Obviously, there have been some gaps in processes that were reflected also as part of the review on the colocation issue. So likewise, it's important to make sure that controls and processes are strengthened across the board. That's just an ongoing exercise that every organization goes through, and for NSE also it's important.
Mr. Limaye, look forward to hearing a lot more from you over the next few years. Thank you so much for speaking to BloombergQuit.
Thank you very much.